Today I want to talk to you about sex education. It's a very controversial. I know everybody here has their own opinion. Some of you think kids are too young. Some of you don't think it has any business being taught in school. And there's really no way to know which is best. But we know right now that abstinence only is not working. So the best policy, in my opinion, is to teach them, and since they're all gathered in school already, and that's the best way to ensure that they are being taught, school would be the best option to use. In an article in the Washington Post by Rob Stein, he talks about how abstinence only has been confirmed by independent evaluations concluded that the approach was ineffective, and evidence has begun to emerge that the long declining trend in teen pregnancies was reversing. But despite this, the Obama administration has allotted another $250 million for a program that has been proven to be ineffective. The government can't reach a decision because the public can't reach a decision. The country needs to come together to figure out what is best for our children. In my experience, when I was a kid, I remember that they talked about us going into 4th grade and they were going to have the sex talk in school, and they made it seem like this big deal and everything else. And we got there, and the only thing I remember was they talked about us going through some changes, and that we would experience some urges because of these changes, and that we should avoid these urges. I left there wondering why they made such a big deal of it. Like, I heard worse things on the bus from other people and from TV. It was absurd that they made such a big deal out of it. In Rebecca Menard's books, Kids Having Kids, The Economical Costs and the Social Cons of Teen Pregnancy, the problems mostly fall on the mother and the child. For the mothers are more likely to be single mothers for longer. They are less likely to graduate from high school. They are more likely to start their careers later in life and work more hours. They are more likely to collect on welfare. They are less likely to give birth to an excellent health children, and even later in life, their children are not likely to be as healthy. And the medical cost of teen mothers is more likely to be paid for by the public sources. To children of teen mothers, they are more likely to do poorer in school. They are more likely to have a lower quality home environment. They're less likely to be in excellent health. They're more likely to be victims of abuse and neglect. They're more likely to be placed in foster care. And once in foster care, they're more likely to stay there longer than if their mothers weren't teens. Children of teen mothers are 3 times more likely to be incarcerated, and they are overall less likely to succeed. Aside from teen pregnancies, there is also the risk of STDs. The rates of sexually transmitted diseases, teen pregnancy, and teen birth rates are higher in the United States than in most other industrialized countries. This is straight from an article in the Journal of Adolescent Health by Pamela Kohler, Dr. Manhart, and Dr. Lafferty. Not only are the STDs higher, in 2000, a study of STD incidence among 16 developed countries, the rates of syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia in the United States were exceeded only by those in Romania and the Russian Federation. Although there are minimal differences in the level of sexual activity across the developed countries, Sweden, France, Canada, Great Britain, and the US, teen pregnancy, birth rates, and abortion rates are higher in the US than in the other developed countries. So if they're all having sex, why are the ones in the US more likely to contract diseases, get pregnant, or have an abortion? Because they don't know how to properly practice safe sex. In the US, although 15 to 24-year-olds represent only 25% of the sexually active population, they account for nearly 1/2 of all new sexually transmitted infections. With all these consequences, you'd think that it would be best to let the kids know. Most adults probably didn't know any of those facts, yet we still expect kids to know to make the right choice without knowing that in advance. So since we know that we should educate kids on proper safe sex techniques, we should make sure that it's taught in school where they're getting the most accurate information possible from an adult. In an article by Dr. King Jones, it drives us to it. She interviewed 15 pregnant teens between the ages of 15 and 18 and asked them and reports of sexual debuts as young as 13 were reported. She asked them in these interviews what were some of their driving forces for making their decision to have sex. Of the most prominent ones, internal drivers were categorized as popularity. The girls wanted to be more popular, and also the forbidden fruit. People were telling them not to do it, so they felt that they wanted to go find out what the big deal was. And among the other internal drivers was curiosity. Curiosity among adolescents about sex is a normal part of growing up. The most powerful ones described were the external, peer pressure or partner pressure, and the media. Kids are going to be curious about sex. That's just going to happen. It's natural. But where they get their information and what they find we should make sure is the most accurate. They should know all their options and their consequences of their options before going in. Abstinence only does not teach all these problems. It does not tell them about the odds of how to prevent pregnancies. It doesn't tell them about the consequences of getting pregnant. It doesn't tell them about STDs, and it doesn't tell them about how to prevent them. Contraceptives are not 100%, but they're better than not using them. So we should teach them proper use of how to use condoms in school and how to ensure that they're doing the best possible decisions. Even though abstinence is the best decision, they should know all the options thereafter. By teaching it in school, you can limit the source of peer pressure. You can show that not everybody is having sex. You can disprove some of the false information that students are getting, either from television or from other students. And it might empower girls to keep their virginity and stay virgins longer than if they didn't know. Thank you.